With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise who know all about the requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It is recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products, available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Wilson, and thank you for joining us today for another Green and Growing. So we've had a bunch of storms roll through western Kansas this last week, and so it's a really good time to talk about storm damage and what that means for your garden. So there are two different types of storm damage that we're going to talk about today. One is going to be physical damage that affects the plants and the foliage and the stems and fruits and things like that, and the other is going to be the effects of water. So for the first and kind of easiest to spot and things that they were instantly concerned about is the physical damage to the plants. We had a huge hailstorm, baseball-sized hail for a solid 50 minutes come through a couple of days ago. So you can see from these hostas in one of my shade gardens that the leaves are pretty beat up. Parts of them are missing, there are holes in them. Unfortunately, I lost a stem of one of my newly formed flower buds. But that sort of damage is going to heal itself. Leaves regenerate really quickly, flowers will come back. The roots of these plants, and these are perennials, so we're going to come back every year, the roots of these plants aren't damaged. So they might look a little rough for the wear for a couple of weeks until they can regenerate, and then they'll be good as new next year. The root damage hasn't been affected. If you have annuals in your garden that took a beating, or fruits or vegetables, that could be a bigger concern. Again, if anything is kind of leaning over, try to resist the urge to prop that back up. You might do more damage. As soon as it gets sun and recovers from being waterlogged or blown over, most of those stems will start to right themselves and stick back up again. I'm seeing that with a lot of the salvia and bee balm and things that I have in my garden. If you're losing buds or stems on your vegetables, your fruits, or some of your annuals, you need to make a decision of whether you think it's going to be able to come back or whether you're going to have to replant. Again, perennials root systems should be fine, and so should come back later in the season or in the next year. But if you have young tomato plants, I have a bunch of seedlings that I lost that might just have to be scrapped and replanted. The second type of damage that we're going to talk about is water damage. And there are kind of two different things that we can look at for this, and a lot of it has to do with drainage. So when you get a bunch of water, so we had about 5 inches of rain over about 2 hours, so we were really able to see where some of our drainage issues were. And so you can have washouts, which cause problems of eroding away soil, and you need to figure out how to redirect water, whether it's temporary using sandbags or something more substantial, like looking at how your gutters and downspouts are directing water through your yard. And then the other issue is standing water. If you have mud pools around your plants, in your gardens and your soil, that can cause problems. Once it dries out, it's going to get a hard crust on it. And it gets really hard for seedlings and young plants to burst through that. It's hard for the nutrients to recycle within the soil when you get that crust. So what you're going to need to go in is and gently break up that top crust. So if you do have seedlings coming up, you want to be very careful that you're not disturbing those. So I just use kind of a light kind of hoe or rake feature on a small handheld shovel like this one versus anything larger that's going to dig down too deep. Again, you're just trying to break up that upper crust so that your soil can get oxygenated, so water can get down there later in the season and nutrients can recycle. So after a storm, again, it's good to assess the yard. You're assessing physical damage, if things need to be cut back, replaced, or if they're going to be fine, as well as water damage due to drainage issues or pooling water. So just, it's always good to know what's going on in your yard during the good times and the bad times. Any of the information that we've talked about today, you can find more about on the Ellis County Masters Gardeners Facebook page or website. They'll have additional information, videos, and things like that. I hope everybody has a good storm season and is able to keep them, their families, and their yards safe and sound. Thanks so much.
With our current weather conditions, it takes a real expert to create landscape that'll thrive. Riedel's Garden Center has the staff with the expertise who know all about the requirements for plants, lawns, and landscapes that'll stand up to our changing weather conditions. With 25 years of hands-on experience, owner Darren Riedel will customize a landscape design and irrigation system to meet your expectations and our climate. It is recommended to protect your lawn using Fertilome products, available at Riedel's Garden Center, an authorized dealer. Call or stop by Riedel's Garden Center today.